Now, that might not mean a lot to the bros here on the phone. I don't know whether y'all got your high school diploma or not. But Mr. Turner got two sons, two teenage boys. And they gonna be able to say, I saw my daddy do that. I saw my daddy go back and complete something he started.
And it's proof.
And it's documented evidence. So
and it's a milestone.
The impact that this accomplishment has on Mr. Turner is one thing, but the impact that it has on his sons, is another.
Yeah, that's that father. See how that father court stuff come out.
That's that
father's
man shit right there.
They go today telling stories of their gangster life and all this, and what you think a child is not listening to, he listened to. When I was an officer in the jail, so many of them was telling stories of what their gangster dad did, how he would sell stuff and all this. The same exact way. That record almost read Rayful Edmonds. His son's record read the same as his does. Multiple murders, 110. He got 100 years. His son got 110 years to do in prison, all because of what he had to tell his son. His son ended up doing the same thing he did at the end of it. Crazy. So
let me tell you something, man. That's really deep because, I got a 1.5-year-old here. And I see him do things that he's seen me do. Certain little, I got this thing that I shave my head with. I walk in the room, he walking around shaving his head with it. I got this thing that I do when he's got a diaper and I got to change it. I tie it up in a blue plastic bag. And I throw that shit down the stairs, so when I go downstairs, I can take care of that. The other day, I seen this nigga grab a little diaper and throw that shit down the stairs. And I don't even see that he's seeing me do these things.
Exactly what you do.
It's crazy. His mother was telling me, the other day, he just started putting on lotion. That's because he see daddy putting on lotion. I mean, so when you talk about how Rayful's son mimicked what his father did, that's what he saw. I want to ask everybody on this line right now, what does your child see that you don't want him to see? If there was one thing, I'm going to ask each person on this line, if there was one thing that your child sees that you don't want them to mimic, what would that be?
Being disrespectful.
Yeah.
You don't want no outbursts like y'all getting an altercation with your parents. You know what I'm saying? You don't want them to that I grew up in. You know what I'm saying, being an abusive parent or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on that, Keith. I agree with you, man, and I'm the same way. I have a very bad temper. And I know my daughter saw it. I know it affected her because I used to yell at her mother sometimes. And her mother was aggressive, so we used to yell back and forth at each other, but that's not healthy. So I agree with you. Big time kid.
Yeah, never forget.
Yeah, and I'm telling you the experience. I worked at the jail. I ran a program called Safety Net. Remember that program, Mr. Turner?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran that program called Safety Net. And I'll never forget, I had this guy come in. And I had just done a group about behavior, mimicking behavior.
Yeah.
You are teaching your children how to come to jail. First of all, when your mother brings your children up to the jail and they look into a glass at you, and this, what we're telling the child is okay. This is okay. Secondly, the behavior they mimic. I never forget, I had a guy who came in. He left out. His son came right behind. He was showing his son. We show our children how to handle life. It's not all about what we say. It's about what we do. We think they don't know what's going on, but they do. They do. They know what's going on. It's a psychological thing that we don't take a look at how the brain picks up. You know, there's an attachment with the child and the parent. I call it, y'all call it what y'all want to. This is Mr. Tillman speaking. I call it a spiritual attachment, where there's connection there's a connection that can't be verbalized. So even when you're not around, they sense you. So when we talk about, let's be a good example, we have to be able, first we have to learn, because a lot of us weren't taught how to behave as men. Because we ain't gonna teach our son how to be a man, or our daughter how to get a man.
You ain't home to do it.
Yeah. So we're gonna teach one or the other. And if we're not there around, because I tell people all the time, we must, it's not an option, we must sacrifice our image for our children. We focus on the mother so much, we forget about the welfare of our child. We beef with the mother so much, we forget.
And that child sees every beef.
Every beef. And the child, and now, y'all can talk about this later. We're not going to talk about this now, but this is Mr. Tillman's experience. I work with children a long time. I work with adults, and I have a clinical background. When a child, let's use Mr. Tillman's example. I got a son. My son come home from school. The teacher said he was fighting. I'm tired of it. I had a long day at work. I read the note, and so I get angry. I pick up my belt and I beat my child. My child goes upstairs in the room. First of all, I tell him to think about what he did. He's going to go to his room. He's going to be angry at me. Secondly, I am teaching him how to solve conflict. He's going to go to school. He's going to have a problem with a child. He's going to say, Dad had a problem with me. He hit me. So the way I solve the problem in school is I lash out and hit him. Beatings are for the parent. They're not for the child. Because if it was for the child, I'd take time out and I'd talk to the child. Or I'd take time out, and because some children need to be beat now, don't get it wrong. But if I take 20 minutes before I lay hands on that child, I may come up with a better solution. That may be the only solution I have to offer at that time. For some children are off the hizzy. Y'all know that.
Word up.
I can take time out and not take that frustration out on the child. So every move we make, we teach our child.
Mr. Askew, Mr. Lawrence, want to welcome y'all brothers into the conversation. Happy Friday, brothers.
Good morning. Good morning.
Just to get y'all caught up, the question that was posed was, what is the one thing that you do that you wish your child didn't see because you don't want your child to do that one thing? That one thing. Mr. Hodge, talk to me, brother. What is that one thing that you know your child may have seen you do that you wish they would have never seen you do? Because the last thing you want is for them to do that.
Mr. Hodge, before you respond, quickly blurt out your birthday.
Oh, my birthday is September the 23rd, 1973.
Okay. I'm asking for this to going into our system and giving y'all credit for being here.
Word up. So what you got, Mr. Hodge? What is that one thing that you wish, and you know you do, but you wish your child didn't see you do it because you want to give time to repeat that?
To me, I would say disappointment. I wouldn't want him to deal with that, which is, that a lot of kids go through is disappointment, especially when the word of parent, and plus a lack of spending time, time with your kids, as well as another thing is alcohol.
Boom. Preach.
And that too, alcohol addiction, and they definitely see that a lot. It's everywhere. Even the drug use. Everybody think marijuana is good, but it's really not. You know what I mean? And I don't want my sons or my daughters to be thinking that, well, it's good to smoke weed because they say it's illegal. It's a misdetermination to come down to that because drug abuse can start from something
But
small.
you're saying something big and you're getting away from it. It's not about.
Yeah,
It's not about it's illegal. It's about they see their daddy do it. So
yeah,
when they do it, they're not gonna say it's not. The argument ain't well. It's legal now. The argument is like, what is y'all talking about? I grew up and my daddy smoked weed all the time.
Right.
right, right, right.
Mr.
Well,
Mr.
eventually you
Next.
got to set an example, and that's the pet peeve that I feel as though I wouldn't want my children to see me doing. I mean, want them to do it. You know?
What about you, Mr. Perkins?
Well,
Mr. Perkins?
I wouldn't want my kids to I don't want my kids to live lawless. I want them to respect rules. So I try to respect people and rules.
Okay. So you want them to emulate that, seeing that you have respect, so that they can have some respect.
Yeah, cause
Wow.
yeah, you need that work both ways. You know, that could save your life and make you make better decisions.
Right. I'm gonna jump on over to my man Kenny Lawrence. What y'all don't know about Kenny Lawrence is his daddy all day, every day. So his watching his every move. So Mr. Lawrence, I'm gonna ask you a question. Is there one thing that you know you do, or trait or habit that you have, son see, you want him to see it, because you don't want him to emulate that thing or that behavior?
And the biggest thing right now is, like him see me smoking cigarettes. And, disrespectful to his mother, but, that's kind of rough, because, you know how these women are, man. That's about it. I mean, I don't like seeing me at home every day. I mean, I'd rather have a job.
Yeah. You know what? That's a big one right there, yo. I didn't think of that. You don't want him to see you at home every day, because you'd rather him see you go to work every day.
Right.
Wow. And them folks over there over on Deanwood still BSing, huh?
And that joint is a mess, man. Then I'm saying, man, I'd rather talk to you one-on-one with that, man. Hey,
well, we got something else for you. Something came in today I got for you. So, it might work with your schedule and everything else.
Mr. Lawrence.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
What's up, baby?
What's up? Who's this, Mr. Davis? Who's that, Mr. Davis?
Nah, you know I was gonna say.
That's King.
Hey. All you gotta do is talk about that situation over there, man. I mean,
they got new people and stuff now, yeah.
Man, look, man, they keep changing people every. You know what I'm saying? It's like.
Hey, I left out. I got another joke now.
Yeah, well, check this out, man. Check this out. They was about to hire me, man, and you know the human resources, Miss Winston.
Yeah. She about to leave.
Went out. Don't send me the information. That's the only thing holding me up.
And we'll keep trying, bro.
Yeah, hang in there. Oh, we got Big Gene Riddick on the line. What's up, Big Mr. Riddick? How you doing, sir?
What's up, Mr. Stevenson?
God damn, it's good to hear your voice, brother. Always good to hear your voice. Just to catch you up real quick. Right now, what we talking about is that one thing that we do that we don't want our kids to see us do, because we don't want them to do it. We trying to teach you accountability and responsibility. So let me ask you, Mr. Riddick. Damn, I miss you, boy. Tell me this. What's the one thing that you do, habit that you have, that you know your kids see, that you wish they didn't see so they don't do the same shit?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Be honest with the fellas. I turn into a wolf sometimes. Meaning that I don't take things lightly because I don't have the time to take things lightly anymore. And when I try to express myself with certain people, they tend to try you. They're going to go over your head and just tell you anything or do anything, and you will accept anything. Although I try to be cordial most times, sometimes, man, you know, I just gotta let them know how I feel emotionally because he's out here that we have lost our emotions with each other. Because there's just too many computers, too much social media, too much everything, and we have lost. So people tend not to care anymore because they don't have that emotional commitment or bond with you. So I don't want to our children currently seeing me get that way because I know where it comes from. I know where it came from, and I know why I do it. I don't like that I do it, but I know why I'm doing it these days and times.
Yo, that's a good one, man, because I think about that because I have a 15-year-old daughter who, since she was 3 years old, she's been with me every weekend of her life. And there are times on those weekends when we could be at a restaurant, or, and I feel like somebody might cross the line, and I don't like that it scares my daughter. That look on the, and I don't want my daughter to be with a man that would do that. Like, I don't want nobody to scare her when she's out there dealing with men when she's older.
Exactly.
And think that that's okay.
Exactly.
Because even when I do it, I don't like it. I know it ain't okay. I wish I had more self-control in that moment, but I damn sure don't want my baby girl to see that. So I'm right on that one, Mr. Riddick. That's a good one.
And at the same time, you gotta let her know. At the same time, you gotta let her know that you're willing to take them any way possible.
Right. But they don't realize what we mean when we say daddy will die for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? That means more to us that, hey, I'm willing to sacrifice anything for you in any moment.
Right.
Whereas with little girls especially, they like, God damn, daddy's scary.
Exactly. You heard him in the courtroom tell him that. Tell the judge that about him.
Yeah. Like, man, daddy go off. So
but I'm only passionate about it, man. I'm just too passionate about that people won't accept it. Because you can calm me down if you accept what I'm saying and my normal.
Yeah, you just want to be heard.
Right, in my normal.
And when it goes beyond that, then it is what it is. But you just don't want your kids to see that, man. And I really appreciate you sharing even more, Mr. Riddick. I just appreciate you jumping on the line, black man. You know, we got that connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just got off of work, and I got your text. I just got off of work, and I got your text and said, let me get on here.
Say, let me get on here before I take this nap and go to sleep for a while.
What about this, bro? What about this? We are human. We make mistakes.
Right?
Yep.
Taking it a step further and amending, making amends. There's a difference between and making amends.
Man, you sound like Farrakhan at the Million Man March.
Yeah, apologizing means saying I'm sorry, and if I do it again, I will. Making amends means apologizing and changing behavior. So that's somewhat what I was going to say. Go ahead, Mr. Askew, I'm sorry. What I was going to say, man, like, really mending it when it's the truth and not allowing my everyday life to change that. You know what I'm saying? So being more consistent with it versus just giving up at it.
Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Askew. what's the thing that you do that you don't want your kids to see because you don't want them to do the same thing? Like, what trait, habit, or thing is it that you do that you like, man? I
When I don't give a fuck. When I don't give a fuck. When I don't give a fuck, I don't give a fuck. And that is not good. That's not good for no one person to really see because you turn everything off. And if you teach a child young how not to give a fuck, they ain't gonna give a fuck when they become an adult.
Wow.
But I'm gonna ask the group a question. Think about before you jump out there and answer it. Are my kids worth me changing behaviors that we discussed today?
Yes, they are.
Action. That's an action response, not a word response.
Well, no, it sounds like a word response because in the moment, I'm with Mr. Riddick. Of course they are. But let's just say the issue that the last couple of people brought up was dealing with themselves when they get angry. That's a behavior that you change before you're in the moment. So I could say, well, yeah, it's worth changing this behavior. But then when I get mad, do I have the tools to not go off so that I can make that?
Can I respond honestly, Mr. Stevens, real quick? And I know everybody's going to disagree, but I'm honest that honestly real quick. When I ask myself, do I have the tools to control my temper? Yes, because if you stand in front of me with a 9mm pointed to my head, am I going to lose my temper and try to fight you anyway? Am I going to say, I don't really have a chance? He caught me off guard. If I move, he's going to kill me. If I try to fight him, he's going to take my life. Can I control my temper then?
Yeah, let me give you a different type of example because that's a real that's a situation. But I'll give you an example. Yesterday I was at the grocery store and I was in line and my line was taking too damn long. A lady opened up a line next to my line and I went to get in that line and she said, "No, sir, we got to take these other people first." Now my temper wanted me to throw all the chocolate bars and candy off of that stand right there. Said, this girl's in high school. If I go off, she's going to be like, some crazy ass old black man was in here knocking over all the candy bars today. Because I want to control that temper thing, I thought about it. And the reason I brought that up, Mr. Tillman, is because when it comes to controlling your temper, it can happen in any moment, any situation. And like you said, we got the tools. We got to use them.
Let's call that rage, right?
Yeah, let's call it rage. What's up, Anthony Valentine? I see you on the line, black man.
What's up?
What's up? Let's call that rage. We have a stream of emotions. From peacefulness, let's look at a ruler. Peacefulness is at 0, a 12-inch ruler. Rage is at 12. There are feelings in between there. Stay with me, okay? So when I wake up in the morning and I pull out my measuring stick, and if I look at, I'm 2 inches from rage, then I know how to plan my day and what to stay with and what to stay away from. But if I don't identify that where I'm at on my ruler in the morning, then at any point, I can be enraged and then I have no control. So if I wake up in the morning, what I do, I wake up in the morning and I identify where my feelings at. All right, I don't feel too good. I'm in a bad mood, you know. So I have to plan my day plan my next couple of hours accordingly. I know I have an advantage because I know I got 2 coworkers I can call and tell them anything and bounce anything off them. But I'm saying I need to know how I feel when I wake up in the morning before I leave the house. Because I don't want to end up in the back of a police car with bracelets on, silver most famous silver bracelets that they give us at any time. Thinking about what I should have done. I'm in left.
Mr. Tillman, Eugene here. I don't disagree with you, and I don't agree with you. Let me tell you what I mean.
Okay.
You can wake up in the morning feeling wonderful. Your ruler is at 0, according to your analysis. Your ruler is at 0. And like in life, and like in a movie, I seen the brother get pulled over with his wife. He has 0. Wonderful. We're having a lovely, just dropped the children off to school, lovely day. About to drop his wife off. He about to go to work. He happy at work. Everything's fine. Police pull him over for something and start filling in with his wife.
I saw that movie. Yep, you're right.
I seen it in person. And when I seen the movie, I'm like, wow. I seen that. I'm not talking about me personally, but I seen it. And you got to stay in that element of 0 as a black man. Seeing another man following your wife because he said he's searching her for this and that or whatever. And you have to state of mind of what do you do. That's not rage coming out, Mr. Tillman. That's protection coming out. That's saying, like the saying go, every time I try to get out the game, they pull me back in. And that's not nothing about control. That's something about protection. If you can't protect yourself,
It put me in rage. I don't know about you.
That's what I'm getting at.
I go to rage.
This is what I'm getting at. If you can't protect your children and your family and your wife, what can you do?
Because rage, we don't think during a rage, right? We don't think. The best way to hurt somebody like that hands on them. But that's what I would do. Now I'm telling you, don't go by what I say I would do. Because I'm being honest. It would be a confrontation. But the best way to attack a person like that is to kind of start writing it up.
Right, that may be the extreme, but it's
the best way. But I'm saying I don't know if I can get to the best way. I'm just talking about me, not anybody else. But that would be an ideal way to attack his job. I don't know if I can make it that far, but I'm just saying that would be an ideal way.
So I say that to say this. There actually needs some practices in that. You can't do that on your own. You need to have situational practices in an area with men, black, white, whatever, with scenarios like that to practice that. Because once it hits you, ain't no thinking about whether I'm being racist or not. It's about protecting my family. You can't put out that fire and walk away from it and think that fire gonna go out. You got to put water on whatever stuff is on it to burn it out.
That's right. He's exactly right on that one.
Yeah.
So you need to practice those things. Those things need to be practiced. Like we need to be someplace an hour, 2 hours, and practice those situations. From the 0 to the 12. From the normal to the abnormal.
Right.
See, this is one of the things is that some of these men, or a lot of men, have gone through a lot of situations where there is no help dealing with mental crisis.
Exactly.
And my brother is right. I mean, what do you do? I mean, I would be pissed off. I would be calling the supervisor. It's a lot of different things you can do, but some people don't know to do that. And you're right, exactly. You do. So we need to go to where we can practice, self-control. But it's hard if you see somebody fondling your wife and your children there looking at that. It makes you feel like a man if you can't protect your wife and your children and your family and also yourself. So I think it comes to a point where it's anger, and then there could be a rage, and it could be a situation where it could be escalated beyond a point where you will have handcuffs on. And to protect my wife and my children, absolutely, you can put them handcuffs on me because I can't tolerate that. You know, even if I call the supervisor, you're gonna hear my voice and hear how I feel. And something's gonna have to come out of that. You know, being a man, I mean, there's a lot of different responsibilities that we go to. And you talk about having a gun, a 9mm in front of us. When we walk out the door, the 9mm is already there. It's there. You know, being a black man, it is there. Being a black boy, it is there. You know, it's just a matter of time before the bullet hits you. Yep. So that's
so what do you teach your children? How do you? Because that's an extreme. So I just respond to that. It's an extreme situation. But let's talk about everyday situations. What do you think the children when they leave out the house?
I think differently. I mean, I kind of agree and disagree too, but I think a little differently I almost dare to say our ruler is shorter than the 12 inches as pure men, because pure men act in the response in the way like Matthew's saying and like my man said. We pure about what we feel about our families. So it ain't never no real in between area. It's either peace or rage. Period. Because if you take me there fucking with my kids, ain't nothing less than that. If you take me there fucking with my wife, ain't nothing less than that. You know what I'm saying? It is that 0 to 6 for me personally. You know, because don't let nobody, you know what I'm saying, fill up on that that belong to me. You know what I'm saying?
Mr. Riddick and Mr.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Matthews, I gotta ask y'all a question. Would you want the most effective way to respond to situations, or do you want the instant gratification way to respond to situations?
Okay, I'll speak first. I'll speak first.
We listening.
Okay, instant gratification, right? Listen, I don't even think that plays a role, Mr. Tillman, because you're in another world at that moment. That's why it needs to be practiced. It needs to be practiced so much to where you can deal with it when you see it right away. So that rage won't come. That rage is coming if you don't practice it, is what I'm trying to say. If you don't have outlets, if it's not practiced, when you see it, rage is going to come regardless of whether you want a peaceful one, of course you do want that. But then again, you go home knowing that man have felt up on your wife's looking at you like you crazy, the children look like you crazy, and you're going to deal with that for months and months now. Not that moment. But even if you do it peacefully, you got to deal with it for months.
Got that right.
Let's remove that extreme situation. That's an extreme situation. Let's remove that extreme situation and talk about everyday life.
Well, one thing we approach it is that when a situation like that happens,
we're not talking, Mr. Matthews. We're removing that extreme situation, and we're talking about everyday life.
Yeah, let me just say, I've always had a conversation with my children, and when I was married, I talked to my wife about what police do and how to handle yourself and what to say and what not to say. We also know that a lot of black men have been getting shot by police officers for minute things. So there is a point where you're upset, and I understand what you're saying. Self-control. You're able to use critical thinking when you're faced with some of these situations. But at the same time, it is hard as heck to do that when you see that your wife being violated, your kids are afraid, and Daddy, what are you going to do? We can sit here and we can easily say you should do this and do that. Unless you're faced with that. When you're faced with that, then a whole different reality kicks in.
We're not dealing with Matthews. We're not going to be stuck on that extreme situation. Let's talk about it.
I'm just answering. I'm just saying, since we were talking about it, That's all. I was just making a reference to that. You know, me now, the way I approach things, I don't expect a lot out of people, so I don't get as mad as I used to, because I don't expect people to do certain things. So that's how I'm dealing with things now. You know, and I find,
go ahead.
you know, I just find that, you know, I come up with a solution on my own. You know, because people are not going to operate the way I want them to operate. They're not going to do things that I want them to do. So I have to create these avenues myself and try to be, you know, keep my mind and keep my composure when you're dealing with it. You know.
Well, Mr. Tillman is going to talk to us about normal situations, not strange. And I still vow to say, regardless of the situation, you need to practice all situations. I mean, anything you can think of needs to be, and you can't do it by yourself. It's like anything you're doing, like football, basketball, teachers, school, it needs to be ABCs, arithmetic. It needs to be taught.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mr. Richard.
Right. Yeah, and so that's why I said with my case from the beginning that I don't give a fuck attitude. You know what I'm saying? Because again, if I teach my kids that young, they're gonna be that when they get older. But at the same token, in an example of just everyday life, man, it's hard to practice what we gonna run through when we face so much shit. I don't believe any man on this line from being with y'all for over 2 years, I don't believe any nigga on this line, excuse my French for saying it that way, is gonna play with anybody when it comes to the youngin. That ain't something you can practice.
No, but you can practice. Right.
I'm man,
you right.
You come fucking with mine, I'm going there. I don't
but
give
you know
a fuck
what?
if I gotta go to jail, and I don't care if I'm going to the graveyard. You
right.
fuck
but
with
you know,
mine, it's a different mindset. You know what I'm saying?
Right, Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence, you can practice discipline, Mr. Lawrence.
Yeah.
You can practice discipline.
And I think Mr. Riddick 100% agree with you because you can't.
All right, so I got a situation.
Go ahead, Anthony.
All right, so all our kids go outside and play, and they play with random kids, you know. So how we raise our kids at our house, and they go outside and play with kids that, you know, seem not like how we would run our household or teach our kids to be outside. Play is play. But, you know, you got certain kids outside that just like their parents, the same attitude, everything outside. So your random kid hit your kid, and your kid don't react, but reacts in a certain way of anger or whatever, and that kid run to go get their parent, like, that's a situation that you gotta think when you walk out the door. Like, am I gonna fight, or is it gonna be a conversation that we gonna talk it through? So, like, that factor kicks in of critical thinking. Like, you don't know how that parent, you know, because kids lie when they outside playing. So you don't know the truth because you weren't there.
Yes, sir.
Great example, Mr. Valentine. That's a great example of a real life.
That's a great example, and I actually live something like that. I give a short story.
Wait a minute.
My daughter.
Mr. Valentine was not finished. Let's let him finish, and then we can go ahead and get some input.
Yeah. So I mean, like I was saying, critical thinking kicks in because, like I said, you don't know if you want to go get a strap or you can talk it through. You don't know that person's mindset with that, you know, because their kid is hurt by your kid or another kid. So, first thing, you know, I think is like, all right, let me see what's the details. You know, some parents come out with rage and all that. I do security, so I deal with shit like that on the regular. That's with no kids. That's with grown ass adults that has no common sense. So, but the person with the most common sense can talk things through where that those kids can be friends.
Yeah, but sometimes
always people who are reasonable to you. When you come with reason, sometimes
yeah, it works. Like we did it as kids too. We walked, we fought and everything, and parents came out, and we would end up being friends at the end of the day. After I done hit the dude or did whatever. Well, he did that with, we live all around the same community. We got cross paths. Same situation is I went to go get the gun. I still got to cross path of that person and their kid. That means I can't send my kid outside without being out there with them.
That's extreme.
So you put yourself, you can put yourself in a trap or, things can be talked through where that now you got two parents that would be looking out for your kids in their best interest. More like patience and common sense is more important out here than anything else. Because without common sense, man, we lost. And I dealt with a lot of people who had no common sense, and I don't get out of character. I still, maintain to be myself. I call him a stupid motherfucker at the end, but that's how far I go. He won't hear, but at the same time, like, I'm at peace. Like, my kid's not in harm, and I'm not in harm.
Well, Mr. Valentine, you talk about, I do security too, and I've been doing it over 20 years. You're talking about de-escalating a situation that don't get out of hand. That, again, has to be taught. I go back to that.
Yeah, it has. Self-talk. Like, you look at people around you and how they act. You do the opposite.
Yeah, but see, people push it when you do
what? The only person who should take you out of character is yourself. If you put yourself in that situation.
You're right.
So de-escalating is just by hearing it. Just hearing that person get all their rage and frustration out. That don't mean that you have to go back and forth, because that leads to altercation.
You're right. That's why I say again, emotions, discipline, de-escalation, it needs to be taught. You can't sit there and say, you're going to walk out the house and be one way. That's impossible. Life doesn't work like that.
The whole day, my whole day, like I said, from the time I get up, I'm at zero. Throughout the whole day, zero. That's so much people coming to me with so much bullshit. I don't let it get the best of me, even if they come at me like I did something wrong.
You know what? Are you talking about?
And leave it outside my door. I'll vent to the closest person I know. Get that shit off my chest. Worry about the next day.
Okay, well,
Just say something real quick. Got to go, but broadcasting for me starts next week. The show is going to be, we're working on it now. And, man, all that stuff we're talking about, we're going to put it on air. I just want to let everybody know that I done made it through. I'm talking with the CEO now, and we're setting up a date. When I come in, I'm in the studio. So we're going to address all of this stuff. Y'all have a good weekend.
Have a good one, Mr. Matthews. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing, Mr. Valentine and Mr. Riddick. Mr. Riddick, you're going to make me do some work, brother. What happens is we have these conversations, and there's a great idea. I try to find a way to implement. And what you said, Mr. Riddick, was very thoughtful. You said this needs to be practiced. That we have to find a way to practice dealing with these situations. And when I say you're gonna make me work hard, Mr. Riddick, because what you're saying is my job to figure that shit out. I'm gonna find a way for us to do something or have an environment where we can practice dealing with our anger and dealing with our rage. Mr. Tillman is teaching me something now. It's called verbal judo. And what verbal judo is being able to conversate with someone in a defensive manner that de-escalates the situation.
Okay.
That verbal judo. And I'm trying to learn from him how to do that. And what that means is when you go into a situation, or when a situation starts to turn, whether it's with somebody on the phone, somebody in the grocery store, or somebody at the park with your kids, that before the situation comes up, you're already already prepared to do judo on them. You're already prepared to de-escalate whatever is happening, so that no matter how they come at you or what information you get, you're in the Anthony Valentine mindset of, you know what, let me de-escalate this before I escalate it. Now, I know me, I will escalate it. I like escalating it sometimes, a little too much. But what I'm learning from Mr. Tillman is that first, de-escalation, play that verbal judo with them. In that conversation, whatever they come at you with, have a defensive move that de-escalates so that you don't have to fight. And I think that's what Mr. Tillman is saying is you don't have to engage in a confrontation.
Okay, well, it sounds like Mr. Tillman needs to have a workshop.
He needs more than a workshop. This is what we need. We need a platform or an environment that we can go over all these things together. Don't worry, I'm working on some shit.
Well, that's and also, let me break some news to y'all. Some of y'all gonna like it, some of y'all not gonna like it.
I don't like it.
You all when we do this, this is called therapy.
Yeah.
This is called therapy. You all are participating in therapy.
Yeah. Me
and
too.
People say, I don't believe in therapy. I don't need no therapy. All of us.
Very Jane is not therapy.
All of us.
Jane, forget about it.
Yeah. No, you right. Mr. Tillman, you right, man. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was listening this whole time because Aaron Askew can equate to what I'm saying, that I have a temper issue, right? I have a temper issue when motherfuckers try to try me at any level, right? That don't mean if it's a AG, a judge. Aaron Askew, no. I was in court wilding. I forgot I was a government agent, employee for a second. Because when people try to try me, or try any of y'all, people try to try any of y'all on this line when we're in court, and I know y'all out here busting y'all ass, I take offense to that, right? The same way how I take offense if somebody try to fuck with my child, I get really angry, and I don't have a gray area. Mr. Stevenson and Mr. Tillman are good with gray areas, right? They have that vernacular where they can speak to someone without cursing them out and speaking strongly. With me, I gotta yell and scream, right? So when I hear Eugene Riddick talk, I go through the same things, and like you said, this is my therapy because I'm listening to y'all. Like, that's my issue. I don't know how to turn it off. I'm either good or I'm going to the extreme. You know what I'm saying? I need to learn that gray area. So when I hear that you guys have the same issues,
it's fast too, man. Because I like my job, nigga. You ain't finna get me fired because you want to cuss out. Y'all don't know. I be having a whole Mr. Davis out of shit. Cause
he ain't lying. Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, but I thought I was gonna have to be his motherfucking lawyer for a minute. Like, what the fuck? Like, man, in all truth, man, I mean, I think all of us collectively, again, like I said, I think all of us are pure dudes within this program, within this community, man. Like, we all really got one common denominator, and that's our kids, and we passionate about that, no matter how it goes. Yeah. And it's like I say, in me sharing the story about my daughter knotted up this little kid in school. Little boy put his hands on her. I've always told her to protect herself. Well, of course, they call the parents up. Well, the father thinking it's another little nigga that knotted his son up. He see my daughter, and he say, oh, this little bitch. Oh, wait, now I'm to a whole different level. I was good. So now that you done called my daughter a little bitch, now I'ma knock your ass up like your son. You know what I'm saying? It's no gray area for that because I was good. I was good before you called my daughter a bitch. You know what I'm saying? So although we do have to practice these things, man, it's just you can't stop that fire for a nigga that's burning for his kid. So to go back to the original question, I do anything for change for my child, but I'm going to die for mine, and I'm going to fight for mine. And I don't know how much change that's going to bring.
Mr. Askew, I hear you, but guess what? It comes kids in person in the hands of another individual.
Right.
I do not want to give anybody anymore that much power.
Right.
Where they make a decision. Where I'm standing in front of a bench and the dude got on a black nightgown. I call them nightgowns, but y'all know what they are. He got on his outfit and he's making a decision if I go home, if I see my kids again in person, if I see my girlfriend or wife, if I go back to work, what I eat, what time I go to sleep,
right?
What time I wake up,
right?
Who I can talk to, who's sleeping in the room with me. Am I going to continue to give that person that much power, or am I going to say I want to make these decisions myself and respond Tuesday, September 3rd, like I should, so I won't be in front of him March 14th, and he's making that decision.
Well, you ain't, Mr. Tillman, you're not talking about verbal judo, you're talking about mental judo.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Mr. Riddick. Yeah, so when am I going to make a decision? Because I don't have to allow you, stranger, you don't like me, you don't love me because you don't know me.
Know me, yeah.
Stranger, to make this decision. I remote control with my feelings on it and control it myself. Because if somebody else is controlling them buttons, they can hit rage, happiness, sadness, loneliness, all feelings. There's 72 feelings we have. We're going to go over that one day. But we have 72 feelings that we were blessed with. At one point, am I going to hold my own remote control with those feelings on it and stop giving it to anybody that cuts in front of me in line, that don't respond the way they should respond? What am I going to control? Why do I keep giving it to these
Big brother, it sounds like there needs to be some balance, because balance is beautiful. Because you're absolutely correct. We can't give somebody the control, but we're still soldiers, and some of us is warriors. Yeah. And in that, there's got, like, as much as I talk shit about Mr. Davis and how he goes off in the courtroom, when he does it, something inside me admires him for doing it, and ask myself, why didn't I do it? Why didn't I go as hard as he went? Because there's something admirable about being a warrior and standing up for what's right. Now, I know that it's got to be done in the right way. So my question is, Mr. Tillman, how do we find a balance between, I got to let Mr. Davis be Mr. Davis, because we need niggas like that to fight for black men, right? But I also got to reel Mr. Davis in and say, you can't go that hard. So where do we find the balance between being a man and standing up for ours and having some common fucking sense and not wanting to go to jail over something stupid?
Because my volume of what I say and the language I use, my profanity, does not equal being a warrior. Secondly, I'd rather have Mr. Davis around for 5 more years than one incident in court.
Yeah.
So I gotta pull Mr. Davis aside like we had to do you, Mr. Stevenson.
Hey, don't tell him too much.
Hey, he almost got all of us fired. We talk about that story another day. We have to kind of realize.
My bad, yo. I be going the fuck off sometimes, y'all. Just so you know, I believe every one of y'all, and if somebody say something bad about any nigga in this program, they gonna hear from me first, and they better hear me, because Mr. Davis is behind me, and then Mr. Tillman is 6'4", 250, and he behind him. So we all don't act like you safe, nigga. I've seen you go off too. So it's all 3 of us.
We think about the moment, when the moment will be gone in 5 seconds.
That's true.
The moment will be gone in 5 seconds. So we have to stop living for the moment and make about the long-term effect of what we're going to do. Because remember, we started this thing off with our kids are watching.
How about that?
That's how we started off. And that's how we're going to end it.
Our kids.
Mr. Tillman always got some fucking magical ass nugget, don't he? I'm trying to tell you, what the fuck, man? That's all good, though, Mr. Tillman. You're right, though. I agree with you, man. That makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, cool.
Let's argue about this shit. You know what I'm saying?
It sound like Mr. Tillman want to say, "Can you dig it?"
Can you dig it?
He's so smooth with this shit, man.
That's what he want to say. Can you dig it? Not all that. Not all that. Can you feel me? Shit and you know what I'm saying? Not none of that shit. He want to go back to my pro afro and say, "Can you dig it, my brother?"
I be wanting to say you did after every second, but you know, I can't remember where I'm at. I'm rising younger, so I gotta kind of feel like I'm now 59. But yeah, you're right, Mr. Riddick, you're right.
Yeah, because I felt that. I felt like this bro about to say, "Please fix up, say, can you dig it?" and I can dig it. 6 feet.
Definitely.
What'd you say? 6 feet, baby. I can dig it.
I can dig it. I can dig it 6 feet.
Man, I love y'all brothers, man. Word is born.
In the words of my old hero, I wish y'all love, peace, and soul.
That's it.
Beautiful weekend, man.
Mr. Tillman. I know Mr. Stevenson. I need one of those papers so I can get my license.
You need you know they don't let us do that no more.
Yeah, you got to call your case manager.
Yeah, we got to get you with your case. Yeah, you know, first of all, you knew good goddamn well that we was helping so many people that sooner or later they was going to pull some bullshit. But we helped so many people get their driver's license back. They took it away from us. Now you got to go through your case manager. But we'll help you. I'll help you with that. You know what I mean?
But I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So why is that an issue?
Well, it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. What I'm saying is, in the past, that was in our control. We could just do it.
There you go.
What I'm saying now is, they put a process in place. And what I was about to say was, I'm going to walk through that process with you to make sure you're treated correctly. So we're going to figure out who your case manager is. We're going to send your case manager. Yeah.
I thought y'all was our case managers when we got in the program.
No.
What the hell kind of shit is this? I don't even remember who my case manager was.
Let me tell you something. You never knew I had a case manager. I was always by myself.
I'm sitting here thinking y'all my case managers. That's what I tell people and shit.
Isaiah warned me that Isaiah was like, "Yo, man, we do all the case managers' work. Everybody think we case manager."
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
No, you have an actual case manager on your case, right? So what we do is we try to block all of that shit, so y'all don't got to worry about the case manager and all that. So what they have done is now they put things in place where they're like, "Look, you guys is getting a little too big for your britches over there." They ain't saying it like that. They're saying we got to put processes in that does this, whatever the bullshit is. We know what it is.
Mr. Stevenson, you know what they're saying? They're saying because you're doing so good and so right, we got to stop you.
Yep.
We're doing the process. We're doing the process. We want to be legal, and you stopping us. You taking it through some shit to be legal.
Yeah.
Now you want me to do some verbal judo.
No, that's my fight.
Mr. Reddick, I ain't verbally judo to nobody. Cut somebody ass out.
I'm not, but I'm just hearing it, Mr. Tillman. Mr. Tillman.
We agree with you. I just had.
How you think I felt when I heard it, nigga?
Well, we had to do double. Me and Mr. Davis had to do double team counseling on him to calm him down. Then you ready to get him started again.
No. I'm just hearing it. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. I'm just hearing it. So yes, whoever your standards are, whatever y'all status is, whatever y'all sign on y'all door is, you gotta go through it with me again. Yes, you do. Because this some bullshit.
Yeah, we all know. Mr. Stevenson made
I never had a case manager call me, talk to me, tell me anything until I want to do right. Now I gotta go through whoever that is.
with you, bro. Let's go whoop some ass down there.
I don't want to do that. I want somebody responsible to tell me how come.
Look, okay.
Hey, listen, man, this a program that's going to continue to always take some shots, man. We just strong enough to all take the shots together. That's my opinion.
I'll be very transparent with you, Mr. Riddick. I'll be very transparent with you. When we started this program in 2017, this program was doing nothing to help people. Nothing. As we've started to help people, quite honestly, we've been changing the face of child support. Not only in D.C., but now other places around the country want to do this, what we're doing. So, and me being transparent with you, I'm going to tell you that the better we do, the more we make other units and agencies look like they're not needed, like they're not necessary, or they've been doing it the wrong way. So there are people who are either going to do one or two things. They've either tried to throw some roadblocks in our way, or they've tried to take credit for what we're doing. And that's my fight, right? And I'm fighting it. And Mr. Tillman and Mr. Davis are right that you all don't see me fighting this fight, but everything that you see right now, I seen start to happen 10 months ago. And I've been doing my best to deal with it so that y'all don't have to.
Correct.
But I'll tell you, you're correct in what you're saying. It's either people are like all in and saying, okay, these guys are doing what they're supposed to do, they're doing a great job. Or people are like, they're doing a great job and we want to attach what we do to that. Or people are like, let's try to make your job harder. Because not everybody wants to see black men do well. Especially in an agency that historically was just about enforcing and enforcement. We're changing that. You're part of the change. We're changing that. And we're going to change it across the country. But yo, dog, don't make me mad today. Because I got the same thing that you got. And you know what you want me to now? Now I'm ready to start calling some motherfuckers and asking some questions. But I'm trying
No, Mr. Stevenson, do me a favor. Do me a favor, Mr. Stevenson. Mr. Stevenson. Mr. Stevenson?
Yes, sir.
Please do me a favor, right? I'm with you. I got your back, right? Like all the other fellas on here. But when you tell them you come and tell them you bring heaven with you, you understand? Not hell, but heaven.
Let me tell y'all something. Let me tell you something.
I hear you, Mr.
Let me
Riddick.
tell you.
And I thank you for that.
This program is extremely successful. One thing that sparked fear in the United States, including Washington, D.C., is successful black men.
Yeah.
Sparks fear. F-E-A-R. You know what fear stands for? False evidence that appears real.
Real.
Right.
And under the bed, he ain't really under there. It's just what we think. So one of the biggest fears that this country has is successful black men. And what you see on this line is black men becoming successful. I worked at that program called Safety Net DC Jail. We reduced recidivism in DC. They kicked us out of the jail because we were successful. We got kicked out. Anything that is successful, because we talk about politics, and this is one of the biggest political cities in the world.
Yeah.
This is where the President of the United States resides. So when we talk about politics, when you're talking about politics, you're talking about a whole different ball game. So what we're doing, we're combining what we do with politics. It's hard. It's not easy. We know that we make a difference in people's lives. So we're going to fight. The way we're going to be
be successful in fighting, because you can be unsuccessful in fighting. And we as a team are going to be successful and continue to fight the good fight. And that's what we're going to do.
I love it.
And that's my motivation for keep on doing what I'm doing. They're not going to win.
Oh, of course
They're not going to win.
Of course not. They got Valentine, Turner. I got to ask you, Riddick, Mr. Perkins, Mr. Hodge. When you got it's a squad. When you got a squad like that, when the front five gets tired, you can send in 5 more fresh guys, and y'all can continue catching alley-oops, behind the back passes, between the legs, crossovers, all that good stuff. Y'all gonna continue doing it because we know y'all gonna carry the mantle. So we're setting y'all up to be successful. We know y'all gonna do it.
Facts.
Okay, so just
like calling me, and I told them call me after 11:15. Y'all still got me on the line.
All right, I'm sorry, man, but just let me know what I got to do to get that paper so I can get my license, so I can do better, so I can see my kids more, so I can take them more places. I need that license.
We got you. We always got you. So ain't nothing changed.
Was your license suspended?
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
Hell no, it's been over 400 days or more.
Okay, all right. Got you, yo.
And COVID had something to do with it, but it was suspended before COVID.
Yeah, I got you, Mr. Reddick. Got you, man.
All right, Mr. Reddick, just give Mr. Steve in the call.
This is when I gotta calm down, because now I'm heated because some bullshit. It's like you said.
It is.
It is.
It is. They ask you to do these things, you do them, and then they throw a fucking monkey wrench in your plans?
Yeah.
Not a monkey wrench.
Hey, man, that's how they do it.
It's like a slingshot. You know, the more you pull a slingshot back, the harder it returns. So all they is pulling us back so we can sling hard.
Okay.
You know, not a monkey wrench. It's a slingshot. We coming back.
You're real smooth with that one, Mr. Tillman, but I'm still pissed off.
Well, I need to holler, Mr. Davis.
All right.
I'll call you about around 1 o'clock, man. I'll see y'all in a minute. I gotta go to another meeting, man. Y'all have a good weekend.
All right, fellas. Have a good one, y'all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Stevens. I will be calling you.
Hey, yo, Mr. Reddick, I promise you, bro. I promise you in my soul, nigga. They're gonna have to deal with us.
All right.
All right, fellas.
I'm bringing heaven with me.
There you go.
Thanks,
Peace, black man. Peace, black man. Peace, black man. Peace, black man. Word is born. Motherfuckers.
Steve's crazy. Hey, but oh man.
It's true. There's a non-surgical option at Montgomery Vascular Care. They are.
Well, good string.